Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. Welcome to another video for League of Legends. This time we're going to be taking a first look at Yasuo, the newest champion, as this video is recorded. This is taken from another one of those high elo solo queue games. This is taken from a game being played by Doublelift, well known as the AD carry player for Counter Logic Gaming for CLG. We're going to be seeing Doublelift playing Yasuo in the top lane in this particular game. Where Yasuo will eventually fit in, a little hard to say. Top lane's a possibility. Possibly a jungler, maybe even in mid, is sort of a assassin-based mid, but it's hard to say where people will figure out quite what to do with this guy. Solo laner seems pretty clear though. I don't think AD or support is very likely for this guy. In any case, the game should be just getting ready to load right now. One thing I will point out is, this has been mentioned by a lot of people, is the redesign on these summoner icons. You might have noticed, well, we've got the new summoner icons here, and the big problem is they all look very, very similar, and once again, for some reason, these games typically don't start at the beginning for no apparent reason. Never understand why that is. So we'll just rewind and start out. But if you look at when you're playing League, kind of the most common summoners are Flash, Ignite, Barrier, and Smite. And that's what almost everybody has. In fact, there's only one summoner spell in the entire game that's not one of them. That's the Cleanse being run by Aphromoo on Jinx. But every single other person has one of those four summoners, and they look really similar. They all have sort of this brownish, orangish color, and the problem is they just look too much alike. Now, I'm sure with time people will get used to them, but it is kind of a failure of the sort of the design process to make all of the icons look so similar. And in particular, Flash and Smite, and Flash and Barrier, who's got Flash and Barrier, they just look very similar, particularly in the color. So hopefully Riot will go back and just recolor these a little bit so that they don't look so similar. It really kind of is a problem. In any case, though, let's go ahead. We'll get the lane set up right here. Always hate it when people don't do that. And this is very much a solo queue game, because you'll notice that Doublelift's Yasuo is playing against Bad X-Man's Brand in the top lane. And yes, top lane Brand, you would never ever in a million years see this in competitive play. Looks like this blue team couldn't really work out the lanes to their satisfaction. They're like, oh, you're going to play Gragas mid? Well, guess what? I'm going to play Brand top. So this is kind of a weird matchup. Like I said, it's very much a solo queue matchup. And let's just leave it at that. Okay, so Yasuo, the newest champ. This is the focus of the video. We want to look at Yasuo and try to see what he does. Actually, let's check this out. There's an early level 1 fight here in the rush right there. And it doesn't look like it's going all that well for the red team right here. That's a nice stun that comes out. A cleanse comes out on Jinx's part, but Jinx is still going to fall. Annie just needs to get off another stun, but looks like it was on cooldown. And that's an early double kill for the blue team. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this lane. Yasuo. So, what does Yasuo do? Well, he is a high mobility melee champion. High mobility melee, sort of physical damage champion. That's sort of his calling card, is he has really good movement around the map. And he actually scales quite well in the late game because of his passive, where he gets double critical strike chance. Now, the trade-off is he's actually pretty hard to play. He actually has quite a high skill cap. Right there, though, Doublelift's able to force a flash out of the Brand player, out of Bad X-Man in this game. So let's go ahead and take just a quick look at what Yasuo does. I'll start with his passive, Way of the Wanderer. Yasuo has a unique mechanic in this game known as Flow. He's the only champion that has this. Perhaps someone else will get it later, but for right now, he's the only one who has this. And the way he builds it up is by moving, by walking around the map. So basically, if your flow bar isn't full, always make sure you're walking. Never just stand in place. So moving faster grants more flow. At maximum flow, any damage taken from champions or monsters briefly grants a shield that absorbs 70 damage. It scales by level. Starts at 60. It goes up quite high. At rank 18, it's a 600 damage shield. So anytime Doublelift takes damage here, you'll see that shield pop. And then that happens anytime his flow bar is filled and he takes damage. So it's a little bit like, say, Malphite's passive, where he gets like a shield periodically anytime he takes damage. Shield only lasts for 2 seconds, though, so it's quite brief. Then the other component to Yasuo's passive is Intent, gets double critical strike chance. Current bonus 0%. Critical strike chance is doubled. His crit strikes do deal 10% reduced damage. Well, whoop-de-doo. I think anyone would take that. So you only need 50% critical strike chance to get a crit on every single attack. And that's one of the reasons why Yasuo tends to scale pretty well. Okay, let's look at his skills. His bread and butter skill is his Q. His Q is Steel Tempest. This skill, oh, and I, by the way, should mention, Yasuo does not have mana. Right there you see the shield kicking in, blocking some of the damage from Brand. Yasuo does not have mana, he is purely cooldown based. This is a gank that's being attempted by Nunu, but I don't think this is going to work, not with that ward being tossed. And actually, Nunu disconnects, so not going to be anything. Alright, let's go ahead and highlight Yasuo's Q once again. Lock the camera on him for a second. Steel Tempest. No cost on a short cooldown. Only on, what is it there? Let's see, 4.5 second cooldown here. Also, it is on a short cooldown. Thrust forward deals physical damage. This is a straight line skill shot. Right there, you see the knock-up component, which we'll mention in a second. Doublelift continuing to auto-attack here, but it looks like, does he have enough movement speed to chase this down? No, just has not quite enough movement speed to get that kill right there. Alright, so let me highlight what the skill does again. Q, thrust forward, deals physical damage. On hit, Steel Tempest grants a stack of Gathering Storm for 10 seconds. At 2 stacks, fires a whirlwind that knocks somebody airborne. So basically on first cast, it's a straight line skill shot, shoots straight ahead, deals physical damage. And let's see, you see it being used right there. On second cast, same thing, straight line skill shots, shoots straight ahead. There it is once again. And on the third cast, it shoots a whirlwind that has much more range and knocks anything that it hits up in the air. So that's the third cast. Let's see. And right there, there's the third cast for the whirlwind. The normal version is quite short range. It's only 475 range, if I remember from what I saw on the Wikipedia entry, or the League of Legends wiki. And oh, scumbag Brand interrupting that recall. What a scumbag move, forcing Doublelift to waste time and go back. Nice play, obviously, but yeah, scumbag move. The range is quite short, as I said. 475, I believe, is the range. That is less than the range of a Sivir auto attack. So yeah, this is a short range skill. It's very spammable. It's on a very short cooldown. But you do have to be quite close to the person to use it, and that's part of the reason why Yasuo has a pretty high skill cap. You have to be very close to the target to deal most of his damage, and of course that puts him in danger because he is a squishy target. When he doesn't have his passive up, when he doesn't have his shield, he can be killed very easily. So you have to know, you have to get close to your opponent, and you have to know what you're doing. Now, this combos with his E. This is where he gets his high mobility, sort of where Yasuo gets his mobility. Note that it is on a very short cooldown, only 1/2 second cooldown. Yasuo dashes through target enemy, so he does need a target to use this. Needs an enemy minion, enemy champion, or a neutral camp monster of some kind. Dashes through target enemy, deals magic damage. Each cast increase your next dash's base damage by 25% up to 100%. But you can't cast on the same enemy for a 10-second period. So basically, this skill is limited not by the cooldown on the actual skill itself, because it's only a 1/2 second cooldown. And with more points in the skill, that actually goes down. It is a 1/10 of a second cooldown at max rank. So basically, there's no cooldown on the skill itself. It's just you can't recast on the same enemy for 10 seconds. And at max rank, that goes down to 6 seconds. So again, the range on this is not tremendous, but Yasuo can be dashing all over the place in a fight. He just can't hit the same target he just can't hit the same enemy target for a 10-second period, and then that goes down to 6 seconds. Now, this does combo with his Q. You'll notice here, if you use his Q while you're in the middle of a dash, it will what is it? Does it say that here? If cast while dashing, Steel Tempest will strike as a circle. So if you use his Q while you're dashing, then it is sort of a circle effect instead of a straight line skill shot. And if you use it for the whirlwind effect, you get a sort of an area of effect knockup instead. So, oh, by the way, and there's all kinds of action going on in the bottom lane. I guess we should take a quick peek on that. So, blue team's bottom lane already has 8 kills on the game, and they're diving way past the tower, but they got their hand kind of caught in the cookie jar, and Vishu, the Orianna player on red team, was able to go down there and get a double kill, and that was actually really big for the red team to get that double kill, because their bottom lane was just getting absolutely wrecked, like really, really hard. So anyway, as I said, Yasuo's, the basis of his kit is his Q and his E. These are the skills you're going to be using the most over and over again, and they have sort of a dual effect there, because as I said, if you use his Steel Tempest while he's dashing with Sweeping Blade, you get sort of a circular hit, and that can be a circular AoE knockup as well if you're on the third charge of Steel Tempest. His other skills, his sort of utility skills, he has a very nice utility skill on W. This is a 1-point skill, that's all you need. Passively, builds up your flow faster. The active creates a moving wall that blocks all enemy projectiles for 4 seconds. So you can put down a wall that blocks all projectiles. Well, watch this right here, though. A nice roam coming in the mid lane. You see Gragas getting engaged upon, and that's going to turn into a kill for Orianna right there. And Doublelift's going to be able to get out of this. So as I said, it was a nice roam. Went down to bottom lane, went down to mid, and was able to pick up a kill right there. But now does have to head back to top again to deal with the push on that tower. Anyways, I was saying the wind wall, it blocks all enemy projectiles for 4 seconds. Will block any projectile, so it has a lot of utility. But you only really need 1 point in the skill. More points will lower the cooldown, but that's about all you need. Anyway, Brand is going to flash away. He's going to be able to make it out of here. Pops the Brand ultimate, gets a couple bounces from that. There's the wind wall, by the way. Didn't end up doing anything in this particular situation, but that was the wind wall right there. And we'll see some more cases of it later on in this game. Right there, another example of the dash, followed by the whirlwind, the spinning circle effect from Yasuo. And then finally his ultimate, we should mention this last breath. Again, no cost, just cooldown based. Yasuo is purely cooldown based, as you see some more dashes coming in right there. Dashes to an airborne enemy champion, deals physical damage, holds all airborne enemies in the area for an additional 1 second, also resets all stacks of Gathering Storm. Then for 15 seconds afterwards, Yasuo gets bonus armor penetration, and that affects armor from items, buffs, runes, and masteries. So it gets armor penetration, but only affects bonus armor, not base armor. So this is quite nice. This is basically, you combo this with the Whirlwind on Steel Tempest, knock someone up in the air, and then when they're knocked up in the air, you can use Last Breath on them, where you dash to an airborne enemy champ, and holds all airborne enemy champs in the area for an additional 1 second. Deals physical damage, holds them up in the air for another 1 second. Yasuo combos well with champions that have knock-up abilities for this very reason. They use the example in the champion spotlight of comboing him with Malphite or comboing him with Janna. Alright, right here we've got an engage going in. Brand is going to use his combo to try and block some of that. But there is the dash in once again. There is the auto attacks coming out. There's another dash, the knock-up from the Whirlwind, and Doublelift's able to pick up that kill. Did not actually have to use his ult right there. Let's go back and just watch this again, because Yasuo is new. If you want to see how he combos his skills together, we'll just go back and watch this. So anyway, there's the dash in. Drop this to half speed. There's an auto attack. Another auto, got a crit right there. Now the E is going to come off cooldown. There it is, gets the E, the knock-up into the air, auto attack, and then another auto attack finishes that one off. So basic combo right there. If you notice, dashed in with the sweeping blade, used Steel Tempest, got the knock up on the third cast from the Whirlwind, and then used that to finish off the kill right there. Pretty basic stuff, but I mean, it will take some practice. Yasuo's not super complicated. Obviously, this is not like a Dota champion here where things can get ridiculous. This is not Invoker or anything like that. But there are some mechanics that you need to pick up. And as I said, he is quite fragile. So if you're out of position, you can die really easily. He can pull off some nice moves like right there. Tossed out the Q over the wall, got vision on the white camp, then immediately dashed to it using Sweeping Blade, and then went over the wall. So if you have vision and there's a target to go after, he can get over walls pretty easily with the use of that E, that Sweeping Blade. Alrighty, so what's going on in sort of the larger game right now? Well, blue team's still ahead. They've been snowballing off of that bottom lane, but it's a little closer than it was before. And we actually see Doublelift heading back up the top lane to try and pick up another kill on this Brand player, who does not have any vision of him coming in. So here we go. Coming in once again. Let's see, there is a dash in, using his auto attacks here. That shield, actually, that's going to pop the flow shield right there. Actually does a pretty good job of blocking. There is the wall that comes out right now. Needs to get another dash. There's the dash into the knockup. Uses the ultimate, the last breath. Now can Doublelift finish this one off. It's a nice stun from Badman. Uses the Brand stun, dashing in, dashes in again. And is he going to be able to pick this one up? Nope, not quite. By the way, Lee Sin is here. Brand ult comes out, and Doublelift will fall to the Brand ultimate. But that was probably a good move just to trade that 1-for-1, because Lee Sin was coming in. And, well, he would have died 1v2 for sure. So to trade 1-for-1 in that situation, not really that bad. I have to say that was probably the best choice there overall. So pretty good use of the skills. Did use the ultimate right there. Brand actually played that quite well too. Brand was able to hit his stun a couple times. Anyway, while this is going on, we've got another fight. Gragas Barrel comes out. Orianna ult being used. This poor Orianna, though, in bad shape. That's a 4-man mid gank. Again, why are they able to do that? Because bottom lane lost so badly for red team. Blue team's able to move their mid lane, able to move their bottom lane up to the mid. And now there's going to be push on this tower, and that's going to put blue team back in a very comfortable position again. As we see Lee Sin going in, trying to flash behind and get the kick onto Nunu, but not able to do the insect play where you flash behind and then kick them forward into the team. Messed up the mechanics a little bit. Alright, so a little bit more about building Yasuo here. Again, his skilling order is pretty straightforward. Max Q first, max E second, 1 point in W is all you need, and of course grab his ultimate anytime it's available. So that's a pretty straightforward skilling path in terms of what you do when you're ranking his skills. Now, as far as building Yasuo, that's a little bit harder, and there doesn't seem to be a clear consensus right now on how to build him. I've actually heard, seen people build different things and heard different things as well. Anyway, there's another dash in. By the way, check out that mobility. Down goes the wind wall to block projectiles. Now, obviously, Doublelift has to wait for cooldowns to reset after that, but hopefully you can see there a little bit of the mobility that Yasuo brings. What Doublelift has chosen to go for is he's picked up a static shiv as his first core item, and this does appear to be a very good item on Yasuo. Gives him attack speed, gives him critical strike chance, and gives him movement speed. It also gives him very good wave clear as a solo laner. So this item does seem to be a pretty good fit for him. It has most of the stats he needs. Anyway, there's the E in, the knock up. Brand is going to use his ultimate. The wind wall goes down. We see the Nunu ult being used right now. Yasuo is going to dash in once again, picks up 1 kill. Now can he manage to get out? Doublelift dodges the skill shot right there. He's quite low from this. There's another fight elsewhere. Gets in an auto attack, another knock up with the whirlwind. He's not going to be able to dodge that Lee Sin Q though, and Lee Sin's just barely going to finish this one off. Doublelift needed to dodge that last Lee Sin resonating strike. If he had dodged that Q, I think he would have won this fight, but not quite able to come out on top. It is a 2-for-1. Jinx Rocket, not going to hit the target. Always difficult on those cross-map shots. So anyway, Lee Sin's going to get the kill. That is a 1-for-2 overall for red team, a 2-for-1 for blue team. Blue team is still in pretty comfortable shape. They did take the first dragon while all that was going on. Jinx is 0-4 against a 5-1 Lucian. And the Culling's going to come out. Is this going to be enough to pick up the kill on Annie? Doesn't look like it, not yet. That's a nice zap coming out. But oh no, still trying to run away. Tiber's not going to be enough. Down goes Jinx yet again. And this bottom lane just has not gone well for red team. So it's going to be up to the other lanes to try and win this if red team's going to try and come out ahead. Alrighty, so we saw some more stuff on Yasuo right there. If you check, the cooldown on his Q goes down with more points in the skill. Note that it's just a 2-second cooldown, 2.2 second cooldown right now, and that's with 0% cooldown reduction as well. So that is a short cooldown on that skill, and the cooldown goes down on Sweeping Blade as well. So you're going to need to spam your skills a lot if you're playing as Yasuo, and you better be able to combo them effectively. Anyway, right there is the dash in. There's another dash in. Dodges the Brand pillar right there, and down goes the wall, and gonna force a flash out away from Brand. Not gonna get the kill, but Brand being forced to flash away, and Doublelift did use his ult while that was going on, but it's not actually on that long of a cooldown for Yasuo. Going to continue dashing in. It's just, don't really have any idea if the dash is going to go onto Brand himself or just onto the minions right next to him. A little bit like, you know what, it's a little bit like Aurelia, the way that Aurelia can dash onto minions and then next to you and then dash onto you. Some real similarities there, actually, between the way that Aurelia uses her Q on minions and the way that Yasuo is able to dash to minions with his E. Anyway, right now we see the Lucian roam coming in all the way up from bottom lane because, well, bottom lane is still really pushed, and blue team has shifted their focus towards this top lane tower, and they look to be in very, very good position to claim that. There's just not a lot that red team can do. They don't really have the champions or the health to try and save this. So down goes this tower as well, and Rainsound, Lucian's player, has been doing a nice job of putting pressure elsewhere on the map right now. Anyway, Nunu just recalled back from that brush, and the push continues up here in top lane. Jinx is farming bot lane, but that means it's an opportunity for a 5v4 on the top side of the map right now. And up, here comes the flank on the sides. Is Orianna going to be able to get out of this? We see the Gragas barrel coming down. Rishu is going to fall. Orianna dies, and that looks like it's going to be another tower in top lane. All kinds of problems for the red team right now. They're in a lot of danger. Anyway, there's the wind wall once again. Doesn't seem to do anything in that particular fight, and they're still pushing right now. This is actually a 5-on-3 push up here in top lane. They maybe could just keep going right here. We're going to see the Thresh hook come out. Nunu's in trouble. He's going to take a Gragas barrel, and this game is starting to get out of hand. Jinx is still pushing in bottom lane, but red team desperately needs to hold this or they're just going to lose their inhibitor. Hey, right here though, we see the Nunu ult being used to channel. That's going to be 1 kill. Annie will pick it up, and now Doublelift is going to go and uses his ult right there. Is he going to be able to pick this up? Yes, actually they do get the kill, and now the fight's starting to get turned around. Looks like blue team has overstayed their welcome just a little bit, and they're being chased down right now. They've already lost Lucian, who's the most fed member of their team. So Brand is getting chased. By the way, Jinx is still down in bottom lane farming. That's another kill that goes down up in top lane. as Brand will fall. And by the way, Jinx still pushing in bottom lane, so this game seems to have gotten turned around in a hurry. Gragas still sitting around, uses his barrel, but whiffs on it right there. Are they going to go over the wall? No, doesn't look like it. But Jinx is still shooting this tower. Is Jinx going to be able to get this inhib tower in bottom lane? No, not going to be able to. And unfortunately for Red Team, these towers do now regenerate health. Anyway, there is a fight still going on over here. Doublelift continuing to chase after Thresh right now. Is he going to be able to get this? Doesn't look like it. Up, runs into the Thresh. Oh, but he's going to go back in and pick it up. Very, very nice. Fooling the Thresh player right there. Fooling Hi, I'm a Sheep. I don't think Doublelift could have gotten out of that one, but went back in and picked up the kill at the last minute. Now 5-3-3 on the game. Looks like he's going Static Shiv into Infinity Edge, which feels a little too Glass Cannon to me. But who knows? Maybe it can work. Basically, that's like a Tryndamere build right there. Very similar to what a Tryndamere in top lane would build. Now, the difference is Tryndamere has an ult that makes him invincible for 6 seconds, whereas Yasuo doesn't really have anything like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Doublelift has only played Yasuo. This was one of his first 2 or 3 games playing Yasuo, so I'm sure he's trying to figure this out as well. But a lot of damage, but very much a Glass Cannon build as well. So the net effect of all that is Red Team is, I wouldn't say, certainly not ahead, but back in the game to a certain extent. It would have been nice for them if they had gotten this bottom tower, which is, again, still slowly regenerating health over and over again. But that a little bit overly aggressive play in the top lane for Blue Team didn't really work out. Aphromoo getting caught out. He's not really worth anything in terms of gold. Excuse me. And, yeah, the Jinx, you're not going to make it out of this. So Lucian goes to 8-2-5 on the game. And he's clearly still building towards his Trinity Force. I'm a little surprised he doesn't have his Trinity Force yet. I would have thought he would have had it by now. Anyway, it looks like we're going to see another duel up here in the top lane, waiting for Brand to run forward. And Brand is now being caught in all kinds of trouble. Blue Team's going to take Dragon while that's going on, but there's not a whole lot that Brand can do right here. Does hit his stun, so that's quite nice, but Brand doesn't really have the movement speed. He's got, I mean, there's Nunu with Blood Boil and Yasuo who's got a Static Shiv. A lot of bonus movement speed chasing. Anyway, there is the E in and the Q. Now the wind wall comes down, and let's see. Wow, that's a nice kick from Lee Sin. Wow, Badman's actually going to survive that. Now Thresh goes in, pops down the box. Doublelift will fall right there, but it's a nice Nunu ult as well. Red Team just needs to follow up. Good Orianna ult being tossed out right there. Orianna actually picks up a double kill right there. And this fight is getting turned around by the Red Team. Blue Team getting caught a little bit too far forward. They don't have Lucian in this fight. He's already died. Annie will pick up a kill. That is a 3-for-1 in favor of Red Team. Now they can maybe finally get this tower. Looked like a really good Orianna ult in the middle of that fight. Caught 2 or 3 people. And so even though Yasuo goes down at the start of that and doesn't really get anything off. Oh, right there, the Zap slow will hit on Lee Sin, but looks like he's going to be okay. Still, that was another really nice play for Red Team. In this very solo queue game, I have to say, very solo queue type of game, if that makes sense. 19-15 in kills at the 21-minute mark. You certainly, wow, just got back to the fountain. You would not see something like this in a competitive game if you've been watching Battle of the Atlantic last week and then upcoming this week. You won't see anything quite like this. Or at least I hope not. You won't see anything like that. But does make for an entertaining game. Alright, so let's check out, let's see, Doublelift hasn't finished another item. How much gold is he sitting on right now? Just 900. Doesn't have enough. I'm guessing he's going for Infinity Edge, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Again, you can see the skilling order. Q first, W second, 1 point knee, and then your ult when available. And let's see what the scaling looks like on these abilities. His Q actually scales quite well with AD. If you notice, there's a 1-to-1 ratio. 183 AD there, 183 on the Steel Tempest. So yes, 1-to-1 AD ratio. Scales very nicely. His E deals magic damage. Doesn't have the same kind of scaling. W doesn't have any scaling. His ult doesn't have quite as good of a ratio on it. Plus 137, so that's a little bit lower ratio. Or it's off of bonus AD or something like that. Anyway, that's a nice Orianna ult. And then the knockup using the Yasuo ult off of the Orianna knockup right there. Doublelift's going to get knocked back, but they're still going to be able to pick up a kill on Thresh. Lee's going to dash over the wall. There is the dash in. Where is that whirlwind for the knockup? No, not going to be able to get that. Annie actually hits a nice Timber stun, but that's not going to be enough either. Now Annie in all kinds of trouble. Gets shielded by Orianna. In goes Doublelift once again. Forces out the barrier from Lucian. Annie is going to fall because Brand is now coming to the fight, but Jinx is here as well. Lee Sin will fall on the back end of this fight. Jinx got a reset in the middle of all that. Going to get stunned once again by Brand. Brand has actually hit some really good stuns. To be fair to Bad X, man, He's actually hit quite a few stuns with Brand using his Q on the skill shot stun. But overall, that was still another good fight for Red Team there. Look, I think that was a 2-for-1 in that fight, I believe. I think that they got a 2-for-1. And right there, Doublelift trying to go over the wall, but apparently doesn't have vision on it. Apparently was not able to see the double golems, and so has to take the slow way around to the other side. Notice that the flow shield, which scales with level, getting to be pretty strong. 350 shield right now. And what is he, level 14? So that thing scales very well into the game as he continues. Does make him gives him, that's where kind of he gets his tankiness, is from that shield. By the way, what is, wow, Brand almost died to wolves while that was going on. I was going to say, I didn't think there was any fighting going on. Anyway, the wind, not sure why he used the wind. The wind wall right there doesn't really do anything, but going to go back and buy. And let's see if this is then going to be, well, that's a new bar right there. Look at those bars on the flow indicator. And indeed, there is the Infinity Edge, as we suspected earlier. So going to go ahead and pick that one up. In the game overall, it's actually gotten pretty close. It's only about a 1,000 gold lead right now for Blue Team, and they have to be kicking themselves for letting that lead get ahead. They were way, way, way ahead in this game earlier. If you remember, they were just destroying that bottom lane. Aphromu's Jinx is still 0-6 on the game, but he's getting back in it. If we check out the gold, well, he's still 3,000 gold behind, but the rest of the team is doing a good job of picking up that bottom lane. And Annie's stuns have been pretty useful in these fights. So anyway, with Infinity Edge, 25% crit strike chance, 20% crit strike chance on the static Shiv. So that takes him to 45% crit chance, but it's now 90% because, of course, Yasuo gets the double crit strike chance. So he's basically going to crit on virtually every auto attack, 9 out of 10. So pretty much going to crit every time. And at this point, probably needs to look to get tankier, would be my guess, so that, you know, Yasuo can survive these fights, but instead has picked up a pickaxe. That's probably for a Last Whisper. Just going to rely on that flow shield in order to stay alive. Well, high risk, high reward. If you build Yasuo this way, your positioning, it better be good or you're just going to die really, really fast. Anyway, going in, there's the knockup with the Whirlwind, followed and comboed into the ultimate as well, the Last Breath, and wow, that's some pretty good damage right there. Anyway, Doublelift dodges the Lee Sin skill shot. And is he going to dash on this? Yes, dashes in, uses the Whirlwind for the knockup. Still going in, dashes once again. Look at him dashing, just so many minions right now. But is getting low, gets the shield from Orianna, going to follow that up. They do pick up the kill on Lee Sin, but Doublelift's tanking the tower, so he's going to fall right there. Lucian here as well. Oh, but it's a beautiful shockwave from Vishu's Orianna. Are they going to be able to catch Lucian? Yes, they do. The Nunu Snowball looks like that's going to be enough to pick up the kill. So that is a 3-for-1. Annie died in a separate fight. Where did Annie? Yeah, Annie died in a separate fight. So 3-for-2 overall, but a 3-for-1 in top lane. And right now, Orianna, just dodges the Thresh hook right there, dodging that death sentence. The rocket coming in from Jinx in top lane. Going to go ahead and hit that. Actually, we don't want the camera locked on Annie. And Jinx is still down here in bottom lane. Note that this tower has almost completely regenerated health from the earlier push. And Thresh going to go in. I'm not sure if he wants this, though. He is going to get the hook, but... actually, Orianna needs to shield herself. No, not going to be able to pick that up. Nunu will get the kill. So that's a 1-for-1 right there. Another pull from Thresh. Nunu's tanking a lot of tower shots. Is he going to be able to make it out? Yes, just barely by the skin of his teeth right there. So 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. Not going to see any further action right there. Meanwhile, Yasuo has revived, has indeed picked up the Last Whisper. So this is a very offensive-oriented build. Going to deal, wow, look at all that. Every single auto attack is a critical hit. 500, 500, 500. So yeah, those Yasuo autos, very, very dangerous. And by the way, look at how fast that flow bar is filling up now that he is getting some extra points in the wind wall. So you can see dashing builds up an extra 12% of your maximum flow. And just has more movement speed, 418 movement speed from the static Shiv and from the boots too. I wonder if it might be better to get boots 3 or Mobo boots on Yasuo. I wonder. Anyway, Doublelift, though, has caught himself into a bad situation. Oh, boy, this is not where you want to be. And I don't care how much dash you have, how much your flow bar is filled up. You're going to go down when it's a 1v4 situation like that. So actually, all kinds of pings coming out on Baron right now for Blue Team. We'll see if they end up going for that. But they're going for it. They actually just popped the Talisman of Ascension, the remade Shirelia's Reverie for the movement speed bonus, and they look like they want this. So this is either going to be a huge success or an absolute disaster without really anything in between if they go for this. I would probably say not to go for this Baron because it's super risky, and Nunu is extremely good at taking Baron with his Consume. So I would not go for this personally, but we'll see, and it looks like they have indeed decided to back off right now. This is still a very dangerous moment right now, though, for the red team. Orianna, oh, wow, a really nice shockwave, hits 3 people, followed up with the anti-Tibber stun, but I don't think there's any more follow-up behind that because they don't have their AD here. Jinx is down in bottom lane. Yasuo was reviving at the fountain, so even though that was a nice use of 2 ultimates right there, they weren't able to finish up on this. Aphromoo taking advantage of this time to go after this bottom lane. Oh, he's going to fire the rocket to interrupt blue pills. Well, tried to anyway. Didn't manage to hit. This tower would already be down under the old rules. Instead, going to fall right there. So manages to backdoor the tower. Some sneaky play. Afro's not having a good game, but taking advantage of some mistakes. Anyway, Doublelift is back in the fight. He is going to pop down Lucian. Another knock-up right there. Just spamming those Qs so he can get his knock-up on the Whirlwind up faster. Are they going to be able to take down Lee Sin? He's very, very low. He is burning right there. Doublelift still going in right now. Going to get pulled into the tower right now, though. Oh, and then it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's not tanky at all. Can he survive? Needs the flow shield to come back up once again. Nunu still fighting over here. There, the flow shield going to get popped on the Wraith camp. Not sure that's what Doublelift wanted. But yeah, he's going to be able to survive that. And then elsewhere, finally, Aphromoo finally able to track down the Lee Sin player. Able to get the kill on -9 Irvin Tape. Whoever that is, I'm not familiar with that particular name. But did get the kill, so a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Can Annie get the stun on Brand? No, not going to be able to land that one. And Doublelift really should just go back to base and heal at this point. Yes, needs to go back, get a health restore, and come back to lane. Come back with full health. So where are we right now? Well, we're pretty much dead even in terms of gold, 51,000 to 51,000. And by the way, before Season 4, you never would have seen 51,000 gold at the 30-minute mark. There's just way more gold in this, way more gold generation in the game than there used to be. Well, I guess maybe you'd see it before, but the gold totals are definitely higher than you would have seen in the past. Alright, so what has Yasuo picked up now? He's picked up a giant spell to get a little bit more health. That seems like a good idea. Still is not tanky at all. 82 armor, 67 magic resist. This is still very much a glass cannon build, but an extra 380 health. Was under 2,000 health prior to this, and just relying on that flow shield. Up to 500 damage now. See how it scales with level. I mentioned it goes up to over 600 at level 18, so does make you quite tanky. And there's the shield kicking in right there. So between the flow shield and the Orianna shield, that's sort of how Doublelift's been able to survive in some of these fights, using that shield for the bonus survivability. And the flow bar is already almost built back up again. Alright, well, right now the game's very even, so it's going to come down to who can win these next big team fights. If somebody can take a Baron, if somebody can catch a team out of position. That inhib's also exposed for a potential backdoor. Right there, Brand is going to catch Orianna in his stun. We're going to see the Brand ult used right here. Nunu using the zoning potential of his ult. Watch Yasuo here, goes into the fight, tries to dash in, doesn't really achieve very much in that fight. Orianna's going to get off a nice shockwave combo. That's going to be enough to take down Lucian in the midst of all this fight. Jinx getting resets everywhere. Triple kill. Can Afro chase this down and get the quadra? Lee Sin needs to get out of this. Is trying to dash away, but not going to make it. And the zap will finish that off. That's a delayed quadra kill. So even though Yasuo wasn't really able to do much in that fight, Jinx, the team fighting potential. You got a really nice Orianna ult into an Annie ult once again. And the Nunu ult was very good for zoning in that fight as well. So even though Yasuo didn't really do that much, that was an example of a fight where Doublelift wasn't able to get his positioning correct. That was a fight where Jinx just barely survived. Jinx was on like 100 health at one point, but managed to survive, get resets off of the Jinx passive, get jinxed, or no, get excited. I thought it was get jinxed. Anyway, get excited, able to get resets off of that passive, and just really do cleanup at the end of the fight, getting the 4 kills. And that has injected quite a bit of gold into Jinx's pocket. So Aphromoo has nearly closed the gap, is still 1,300 gold behind, but is a lot closer in that AD versus AD matchup compared to where we were before. And Red Team is slowly taking advantage of this game. It feels like they just have sort of a better team fighting comp. The fact that there's really there's not really anybody tanky on either team right now, not really. But they've just got sort of this super AoE comp going on, super area of effect damage setup. And it seems to be working in these team fights. Annie plus Orianna, very, very strong. Into the Jinx rocket, and then Nunu to zone people away, catch them in the Nunu ultimate. Anyway, right here, let's see. Can Doublelift chase this one down? He is got more movement speed than Brand. Anyway, dashes to the minions, dashes to more minions. Going to toss down. The wind wall doesn't really do anything right there. Going to get hit by Brand ultimate, but Brand can't really win this duel. Brand is not exactly a dueling champion. Yasuo, very good at dueling. And he might go for Lucian as well. Let's see. Tosses out the Q. Probably needs to back out of this one because Doublelift's down on half health, but really has been owning Brand pretty hard in this game. 9-7-8 compared to 3-7-6. Brand simply can't win a duel 1v1 in this matchup right there. So anyway, the rest of red team's pushing in mid. They don't have any minions on this tower right now. And right there, Orianna's going to use her ult, but she's going to get blown up instantly. But the Jinx Rocket dealing so much damage. Yasuo's in the fight as well. Going to pick up that kill. That's a double kill for Doublelift in the middle of that fight. And that's actually going to be an ace. They're going to pick that one up. And they're going to look to continue pushing on the mid tower. Yeah, really good fight right there. Even though, it looked initially like it was going to be a bad engage because Orianna got blown up so darn fast. But ended up working out in their favor as they were able to pull that Annie plus Orianna combination once again. And I'm a little surprised they're not going for this bottom inhib. Brand's the only one up. They have a 5v1 on Brand, or 4v1, excuse me, because Orianna's down. They have a 4v1 here. Brand can't survive that. Anyway, Brand gonna get stunned. Then that should be it right there. There's another ace as Brand goes down in the back end of that fight. So Brand really couldn't survive that. Probably should have just given that up, but instead tried to defend the inhib. Can't blame him for that. It goes down. That's a delayed ace, or a second ace, I guess. They were all dead before. And red team's going to go back to base with all that extra gold in their pockets and 2 inhibs down. So really at this point, it should be their game to lose. Doublelift going through 12 kills on the game, 12-7-9. A lot of kills, a lot of deaths, as you would expect when you're doing a glass cannon build on a champion like this. Anyway, Doublelift has hit level 18, so let's check out. He's got the 690 flow. Wow, that's even higher than I thought. That feels a little bit too high. I don't know. Maybe Yasuo's not that good. Hard to say. But that does feels like a lot of health to be getting on a passive. I don't know. Anyway, so 690 there. Steel Tempest still with that 1-to-1 AD ratio, 243. So it is 100 plus 243. Is on, what is it, the, wow, 1.33 second cooldown. He must have some CDR right now. No, actually, no, still doesn't have any CDR. Okay, 1.33 second cooldown. That's pretty ridiculous, so just spam this in the fights. There's the 10th of a second Sweeping Blade cooldown. Cannot be recast on the same enemy for 6 seconds. And Wind Wall, 20% passive flow buildup. And then the ultimate 400 plus 203 physical damage. Seems to be comboing well with Orianna's ultimate here as well, using Last Breath on people that are sort of pulled with Orianna's ult. I think that they get knocked up from Orianna's ult. I don't know, could be wrong. Alright, anyway, Brand getting cut out once again, and Nunu's going to use the ult, but it gets immediately canceled by Brand when he uses his stun. Nice job right there. I guess it's not that hard to hit a stationary target, but Nunu still doing a good job right here. Brand ult, the Pyroclasm, not going to be enough right here. Doublelift's on the case. Jinx Rocket flies through. Right there, the Wind Wall going down. I think that may have actually blocked the Brand Q, and there's not really anything that Bad Man can do here. Doublelift is going to be able to chase this down. Eventually, oh, misses the Q. The Zap will hit, and yeah, as soon as he's done running, that's going to be the kill. Afro picks it up. Actually goes to Legendary. He started 0-6, is now 8-6, so quite a nice Jinx game here. Look at this build. What's it? Got the Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, and the Last Whisper. Quite a nice Jinx game as well. So anyway, that gives the red team a 5v4 edge. They also have the 2 inhibs down, so they should be able to push the top lane if they want, take Baron if they want. It looks like the calls are coming out for Baron. That's not a bad choice at all. There really is not a lot that blue team can do about this. Actually, they've almost lost this top tower. It's only on 1 auto attack. So going to go ahead and take this. There you see the shields going down once again onto Yasuo. Gonna pick this one up, and they've grabbed Baron for themselves. Now it's just a matter of pushing down top lane and finishing the game off. Should be able to do that. Instead, let's see, Annie, looks like she's dropping some more wards. Doublelift, he's gonna get the tower. Yep, goes ahead, picks that one up. And they're gonna continue shoving here in the top lane on this top tower. And again, there's just not really much that blue team can do because they've got the other 2 inhibs down. They have to defend that Wind Wall going through, blocking the culling. Wow, did you see that? Blocking the culling, blocked most of the damage from that due to the Wind Wall going down. That is the 3rd inhib going down. Now it's just a matter of following the super minions into the base and letting them take down the Nexus. Anyway, let's keep an eye on Doublelift. He's going in, wants to get this kill. His flow shield has been popped. There's the knockup into the air on Lee Sin. Meanwhile, Brand gets taken down. Another kill for Aphromu, still legendary. So CLG representing in this game, apparently. Think that they were duo queued in this game. Anyway, right there, the Gragas player going to get knocked up in the air. The Yasuo ultimate was used, and we're going to see more towers going down. The Guardian Angels on Lucian, and Lee Sin not going to be enough there at the tail end of that. So that is a game that got turned around in a hurry, really off of some overly aggressive pushes by blue team. Their push where they dove behind the tower in bottom lane and Orianna got a double kill was huge early in the game, and then that bad team fight where they were diving past the inhibitor tower. Maybe could have just played that a little bit more patiently, perhaps. Or just sent somebody back to deal with the Jinx push earlier. But in any case, Red Team able to turn it around, ended up winning this game 13-7-10 on Yasuo, and hopefully you get a little bit of a chance to see what his gameplay looks like for those who haven't seen him yet. Like I said, he does feel like he's pretty strong. I'm not sure he fits in the current competitive meta, because the current competitive meta is tanky champions in top lane, and he doesn't really fit in that. But I do think at some point Yasuo will be used competitively, just because he's got so much mobility, and his W gives him great utility for a team, and his ult combos really well with a lot of other champs, so we'll see. In any case, though, once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, hope everybody enjoyed this video, hope you guys are all having a great week. I'll see you again soon. Take care.